Welcome everybody to another edition of the EGlaze Chronicles. I am your host EGlaze, and we're here on a brisk December down here in Georgia, but it's a wonderful December because we get to talk basketball. One of my favorite people out there, Mr. Bob Rathbun. Bob, let's start with this and welcome and thank you, sir, with so many
it is
of doing this.
It is so good to see you. It has been a while.
Sir. It's been a while. It's funny. Last time we talked, we were talking about going through this pandemic and the changes that had occurred. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, just start with this question. What has you can answer it the way you would like to. What has the NBA done right during the pandemic? What are some things you would like to have seen a little differently in your opinion?
Well, I think they did a lot right. The bubble was extraordinarily successful. You know, I think the big challenge was just to get everybody there safely. Right. And then once they did, they didn't have a problem. Right. The only thing, and I've said this, you know, for the 8 clubs that were left behind, I think to give the league their due, had they known when they were planning the bubble how successful it was going to be, I am sure that they would have taken all 30 clubs. Now, we might have played at 10 o'clock in the morning, but I think that, you know, all of us would have gone. We all would have completed our seasons, and we wouldn't have this incredible gap. We've got a game Friday night, and that will be our first game since March 11th, which is kind of hard to believe. It doesn't even – I mean, we've all in this pandemic, I think, lost track of time and seasons and everything, but that's a long time to go without playing basketball, especially for a young team like the Hawks. And with all these new faces, it's going to be quite a challenge. But to answer your question, I don't think the league has done really much wrong at all. I think they've certainly the bubble was great. I think they addressed, you know, the players' needs and coaches. I don't think the public really appreciates what those guys went through to pull this off, particularly the Lakers and the Heat, because they were in there the longest. But it was quite taxing, mentally more than anything, you know, to be gone from your families, to be away from home for that long. You know, it sounds great. You know, you're in a 5-star resort. You know, I think a lot of us would say, take me there. I'm ready. But after a while, you know, no matter where you stay, whether it's at a Budgetel or the Ritz-Carlton, it gets old. And, you know, they're just like everybody else. They've got emotions and they're trying to compete. Every day's Groundhog's Day. You know, you go to the same place to practice, to play, to get back. But I thought the league did everything that they possibly could have to pull it off. And now, you know, we're going to try it again. Although this one is ripe with and fraught with danger, with travel, etc. But the league is pretty good about doing things the right way. And I think that with their protocols in place and the people to monitor this, they're going to pull this off, and we're going to have basketball.
How has it been for you to get those notes and preparing for those meetings again after such a long time of having it? I mean, it's back to now. I get to research. I got to check on teams. I got to see who we're playing. And how has it been for you getting back on schedule per se?
Well, I must say that for somebody who lives at the practice facility and not being able to be there, I feel like I'm just disconnected from my team. We have these Zoom meetings, press availability, but it's not the same. You know, I want to see them practice. I want to see them get out there. I want to build those bonds through meeting we got 9 new players. I ain't met a one of them. And I don't know when I'm going to meet them. You know, face to face, you know, we'll meet this way, but in terms of, you know, sticking out a man's hand and shaking it, that's not going to happen. We're not traveling with the team. So it is with everything else is the same, the prep and getting ready, but it's weird. There's just you just don't have the connection. And for those of us, on whom the fans rely to tell the story of the team, they know as much about these guys practically as I do. And it's difficult. It's different.
So where will you be doing most of your games from home or where will you be
we'll
doing
do it at State Farm. We're going to obviously the home games, we'll be there and the game will be in front of us. But when the team's on the road, we will go back to the arena. And it's just going to be me and Neek and, just a handful of people inside the arena to call the games off a monitor. And that's going to be weird. The baseball guys did it. Chip and Jeff and the guys did it for Braves, where you go to the ballpark every day, home or away, and you just go right to the booth. We were on a big call today, a big staff call, 2 of them, in fact. And, this protocol, they're not kidding. You do not go down to that court and, or there will be consequences. Everybody is going to be grouped as to where they can go, when they can go. But basically, I will drive into the parking deck at State Farm Arena and walk into the building in a designated area, which is, I don't know if you've ever come in the side door there between the arena and the World Congress Center. Okay. So that gate 5, I think it is.
Right.
Right there is where we go in. And then we have to walk halfway around the building to get to the other side, which is where we'll broadcast from. But I cannot go down to that court. I cannot talk to anybody. I mean, it's just, it's weird, man. It is weird. And we'll just go and we'll sit down and we'll do the game. And Nick will be beside me. There'll be a plexiglass partition between us, and we'll call the game. Now, when we're home, obviously we'll call it like normal. But when they're on the road, we'll do it off TV screens. And that's how we're going to do this season. Now, obviously, if things change with the virus, we can get vaccines when they're made available to the public, because we're going to be playing till the middle of May. I don't think people really understand that. We've got a long regular season ahead of us, and if we make the playoffs, we're going to be playing through to the 1st of June, first round. So we're going to be playing basketball a while and doing it this way. And maybe if we can all get vaccines, maybe we can travel, which would be great, to get on the plane. And then I get to be around the guys again and in some limited way. And I'll feel better about that. But it's my 25th year and I've never seen anything like this. This is just crazy.
Absolutely. But I can say one thing. Mr. Slink has given us gifts this year. I can say that from the draft to free agency.
That's right.
I'm just, overall from Bogdanovich to, Gallinari to Rondo to all these guys coming into our draft. Give me this is one of the most exciting off season that I can remember being a Hawks fan or a person that's Hawks. Give me you like you say, this is your 25th year. Can you recall an off season like this? I remember the Joe Johnson off year. I rememone him coming to the team, how excited people were and how that shook up before Atlanta. But this one is just different. It's just, it's something felt different. Give us your on it.
Well, bountiful, I think, is the best way to put it. we had 43 million, I think, in cash reserves and free agency. And I think we used about every penny. We've got depth 2, sometimes 3 deep at every spot. When you look at the roster, you could make a case for 12 guys getting significant playing time. There's 240 minutes available, and Lloyd has got to figure out a way to divide that up between those top 10, 12 guys. Now, we've got a couple of guys banged up, as you know. Dunn, Snell won't start, and the big kid we drafted will not be ready right away. The big double O. I can't call him the big O. I can't call him the big O.
The big double O. I apologize. Big double O.
We got to go with the double O. But Nneka's not going to be ready for a while, and I don't think you'll see Travis Mays, the other two-way guy, and Nathan Knight. Those guys you won't see right away. They're headed to the G League more than likely if that thing gets cranked up. But everybody else is going to play a prominent role. Very, very deep. Dunn's going to play a lot. Rondo will back up Trey quite a bit. Brandon Goodwin's going to fight for minutes. That's 4 point guards right there. A little thin if we did have one spot is small forward. But I think a lot of that is which way Lloyd's going to go. Is Cam going to play there? Is Hunter going to play there? Gallinari at this stage of his career is not going to play the three. But he's going to come off the bench. Yeah, he's going to come off the bench and back up Collins. But you got Solomon Hill to bang. We haven't seen Capella since we traded for him. Bruno's still around. So there's a lot of bigs, a lot of wings, and a lot of point guards. And it's up to Lloyd and the coaches to figure out how these pieces all fit. And we'll start to get some answers on Friday night.
I think that's the one thing that everybody – I don't want to ask you who you're most looking forward to because I know you look forward to everybody, but which pickup intrigues you the most to see how they fit on this team?
Ooh, good question. I might say Gallinari for the bench brigade. Obviously, we want to see Capella because we haven't seen him, right? And we've got to see how this fits with Collins and Trey and the whole bit. But Gallinari is 6'10". He's 32 years old, and he is one of the purest shooters in the world. And this cat can flat fill it up. And we desperately need offense. One of the off the bench, one of the things that has hurt us the last 2 years with Trey is that when he went to the bench, the offense just fell off the face of the earth. I mean, we just could not score. But when he was on the floor, when he made so many good things happen, the ball was in his hands all the time. I mean, he was fourth in the league in usage rate. I don't believe for us to be successful, he can be fourth in the league in usage rate. I mean, he has got to be off the ball some. He's got to develop some catch and shoot to his game. He's got to let others get involved. And I think he will. And that's why I talked about not being at practice, why it's just killing me, because I want to see how this is all coming together. Because Lloyd said today in his media time that we've gone 5-on-5, I think the last two practices, which we hadn't been 5-on-5 in 2 years since Lloyd took over. I mean, we would practice 5 against the coaches. Okay. We rarely practiced 5-on-5. Wow. So now if we're going 5-on-5, that tells me, the depth is going to be significant, that these guys are going to really get better as units. The first unit's going to get good. Then the second unit's going to get good. And I'd like to see how these pieces all fit together. Not that he's going to sub 5 for 5, not that, but I mean, just the depth of that second unit, I think is going to be significant.
Do you think hearing the pundits, as they say, and seeing how great people thought this offseason was for the Hawks, the phrase playoff team comes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? Is that a realistic? And I look at it because we still have young Cam Reddish, Trey, John. They're growing as it is, but we bring in these great veterans. Lloyd's in his, I think it's his third year, went into his third.
Yes.
And I thought one of the great offseason picks was a non-player in Nate McMillan. I thought that was a great move to bring him on the bench, to bring him on. I thought that was awesome. With those pieces and what we brought together, is it realistic or is it too much pressure to want to see this team as a playoff team, for what we put together?
Oh, I don't think so. Now, remember, they're going to this play-in system. So, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all going to be playing to get in. So I don't think there's any question that we're going to be in the top 10 out of 15 in the East. I can't imagine not being there. Now, as for the Eastern Conference and where we fit in, I think this is one of the great unknowns. And I'll get to where we are, I think, in that process in a second. But when you look around, we have better depth than Toronto. I mean, we just do. I mean, they're 2 years removed from a championship, and they've lost now, 3 major pieces over the last 2 years. I think Boston's going to be down a notch without a healthy Kemba, with no Gordon Hayward. Their bench is not very significant in my view right now. I think Indiana is a question mark. I think there's a couple of clubs better than they were. Washington, with the addition of Westbrook, and I may be in the minority, but I think Detroit's done a lot of good things, piecing together, a different unit than what we've seen. The big boys are still good, Milwaukee, Philly, Miami, Sixers, Nets, Orlando pretty much stayed the same. But I could see us getting up to like 6th at a plateau. I think, 500 would be great, which this year will be 36 wins. We could probably do a little bit better than that. Now, let's put that off to the side. Okay. Now, everybody's all excited about these player acquisitions, and they should be. These are quality pros. They want to be here. We signed major free agents, which we haven't done in a long time. It's great. But let me just remind everybody that these are human beings with feelings and egos, and they've got to come together in a very, very short amount of time. We have basically 6 days of practice before we launch into these 4 exhibition games. And we ring the bell. Today's the 7th. We ring the bell, folks, on the 23rd. Okay. So we got 4 of our first 5 on the road. My concern is not stumbling out of the starting gate. I don't want to start 3-8 and be playing catch up. The schedule, I think, tilts in our favor toward the second half. They didn't do us any favors at the beginning. But keep in mind, now the clubs that we're going to be battling for a playoff spot with will be done with Boston in the first half. We're only playing these cats 3 times now. You got to remember, this whole schedule is different. So we're going to be done with Boston in the first half. We're going to be done with Brooklyn in the first half. We're going to have 2 of our 3 Miami games out of the way. So, we should be, if we can survive this opening month, we ought to be in pretty good shape, because we'll have the preponderance of home games starting the 1st of the year. 1st of February, excuse me. And then maybe we can get fans in the building starting MLK Day, and just having, a little bit of a home court advantage with some noisemakers would be great. But my thinking is, let's get off the ground. Okay. Let's get this thing up in the air, and then we'll land the plane later. But we got to get down the runway in one piece and get it up in the air and kind of tinker with a little rough air, and then we'll be okay. But it's a lot to ask. Now, I'm telling you, this ain't easy. Putting these teams, we got 9 new faces. They hadn't met. Literally. They had not met until last week. They couldn't because of the pandemic. So we got a long way to go. And from what I'm hearing, the practices have been spirited. There's been a great attention to detail on the defensive end, which is music to my ears. I think we got a lot of great guys. I know many of them, although a few I don't know. Bogey is new to me. But Bogdanovich is a world-class player. Gallinari is a world-class player. Capella knows what he's doing. Rondo obviously is a savant. So we got a lot of great pieces. Now it's just a matter of getting them all together as quickly as we possibly can.
I'm interested to see, and you brought up something, players like Rondo, who's a little older, and Gallinari, who played in the bubble and actually made runs in the bubble. pretty quick turnaround. I'm interested to see how the body reacts. I'm looking at the Lakers and what they have to do with teams like that, and how coming off of that quick turn affects them. They're professionals, I know, but it's going to see how that affects them, if any, at all. Basketball is basketball, play year round.
Right, right. And he's not going to be playing 35 minutes a night, Rondo.
Right.
I tend to think that gets a little overblown about this turnaround. Okay. I mean, let's face the facts here. The league shut down on March 11th. Okay. It's the 7th of December. You know how many games the Lakers have played in that time frame? 27. I mean, let's get real. 27 games in 9 months is not going to wear you out. Okay. So I think this gets this is a little media story that I don't think really has legs. Now, LeBron, different story, 36. That's a different. But most of these cats, they're in their early 20s. How many times have we heard, these are the greatest athletes on the planet? Well, I think if you're the greatest athlete on the planet, then you can play 20 minutes of basketball, a couple of times a week. My opinion. So I do think that gets a little overblown.
And I agree, because they are great athletes. And if they weren't playing on the floor, they'd be playing basketball somewhere. They're just not relaxing. So
I mean,
they will be playing.
These guys are playing every day. So I think that gets a little overblown. That's more of a media creation than anything else.
What hasn't been a media creation but has become a media darling is our guy, Trey. Mm-hmm. Third year. He's taken the city by storm, the NBA by storm, and there's all kind of talk. What are realistic expectations for Trey with this team? And he's exciting. He's done everything. To me, he's exceeded expectations so far. Mm-hmm. What are we looking for year 3? What do you think we can look for this Trey Young going into 2 years under his belt, a little rest? He has accepted his role in Atlanta. He said, no, we're going to be the team. You're going to want to come here. I love everything about Trey, but what can we expect in year 3, in your opinion?
Well, yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think it's one that we'll see evolve as this gets underway. And again, not being at practice, it's hard for me to see how he's fitting in with this group. I will say this. I mean, the kid's amazing, right? I mean, at his size, to do what he did last year, 4th in the league in scoring, 2nd in the league in assists, an all-star starter as a second-year player, fantastic. But I don't believe, and this is without talking to anybody and seeing them yet, I do not believe that for the Hawks to be successful, he can have the ball in his hands every time down the floor. I just think his usage rate has got to come down to make everybody else better. Okay. We know what he can do with Collins. How's he going to integrate Clint? How is he going to integrate Bogey at the 2? How do you feed Cam? Right. And if these guys are getting theirs, well, naturally, his point total and the shots per game and all that, the opportunities at the foul line have to come down some. Have to. So I don't want anybody to think that, well, Trey's not getting 30 a night and he's not shooting from the logo and all that stuff, but it's going to make us a better ball club. And the end of the night, we want to win. And believe me, he is a spectacular offensive player. He's still going to stuff the stat sheet, but his role has got to change. It's got to mature for us to be better. Because these other guys are weapons. You want Bogey shooting the ball. You want Cam with the ball in his hands, making plays. So it's all good. It's all good. And I think Trey will have a big year. Will the statistics be what they were? Maybe not. But that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy, Eddie Powell. He says facts, Bob. That's facts.
Well, thank you.
That's facts.
I mean, listen, we've all seen a million basketball games, right? I mean, this is a very simple game. We make it a little bit more complicated than probably it should, but this is a very simple game. The hard part about basketball is getting 5 guys together playing well at both ends of the floor. That's the challenge. That's why you practice every day, is because it's not easy to get 5 guys in sync all the time. And when you're trying to bring along the starters, trying to bring along the bench, everybody's got to get a little taste. It's just going to be a challenge these next few weeks to see what we have and how best it works.
Bob, you said that you've been doing this for years now, and this is a difference that you've never seen with the pandemic and all. Mm-hmm. How is it going for you? You can call a game, I believe, outside in a pickup game, and it still will be exciting. But without the fans driving that excitement for you, how much is that going to? How does that affect you as a broadcaster, not feeling the fans roar when a play happens and things of that nature? Like I say, game in any type of situation, but missing that from the crowd, or being when you're in State Farm by yourself with Neek and you can't even feel the away crowd. How is that going to be different this year, and being able to do this type of thing?
Tune in Friday night. I'll let you know. It's going to be different. I think this past summer, I don't know if you remember, we did the TBT, the $1 million winner take all thing. Yep. And we were in Indianapolis, and the tournament was in Columbus. And so I got a little taste of what it was going to be like. It is different. There's no question. I think the one thing for me, I'm not going to have any trouble getting excited, I don't think. But the challenge, I think, is, can I see what I need to see? Now the NBA is going to do a lot better job than more resources than what we had for TBT. But when you're calling a game live in the arena, you can see what you want to see. If I need to look at the referee, I can look at the referee. If I need to look at the coach, I can look at the coach. But when we're doing these games remotely, when the Hawks are on the road this year, I'm at the mercy of the screen. Now, we'll have several. We won't just have what you guys see at home. We'll have different monitors to see different things, but I can only look at one thing at a time. And I'm so paranoid about losing the ball and not seeing what happens with the play that I'm kind of locked in to that program monitor to call the game. Very good question. I don't know. I'll be the first one to say I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we'll give it our best shot. We've got everything at our disposal. I got a great producer and director, great graphics, great audio. We got the Hall of Famer. I mean, we've got everything that we need to have a successful broadcast, and it's up to us now to go out there and do it for the fans. And I think we'll get better at it, as we get used to it.
What year is this for you and Neek now?
10? 11?
Like I said, y'all double digits now, I think. At least 10.
10 or 11. Yeah.
How is it?
And my back is killing me. Killing me.
Been carrying that guy for a decade.
Oh, my God.
Well, how has it been, that chemistry between you guys? Because I always say you're the legendary voice and he's the statue. You guys we have one of the best teams together out there.
I love it.
To do it every year. Yeah.
I love the guy. I mean, we go back, a lot of people don't know this. I may have shared this with you and your audience before, but we go back to when he was in high school. He grew up from Baltimore when his family moved to Eastern North Carolina. He grew up in a little town, Washington, North Carolina. And his team, his junior year, they won it all as a junior and senior. But his junior year, his team played the team that I was broadcasting for in high school basketball in North Carolina, Salisbury High School. And I'm pretty sure it was the quarterfinals of the state tournament. And our team came in second to his team. They were a juggernaut. I think they lost one game maybe in 2 years. Ridiculously good. And of course, Neek was just a man against boys. So I got to broadcast Neek in a high school. Later at Georgia, I ended up doing an NIT game where Georgia played. So I got to do him in college, at least for one game. And then at the tail end of his NBA career is when I came to Atlanta. And then we've been together these last 10, 11 years on the air. So we go back a long way. We know a lot of the same people back in North Carolina. You know, a lot of the guys that were high school legends in North Carolina were all in school, you know, right prior to, and then when Neek was there. So we have a lot of contemporaries. And then, of course, you know, the alumni with the Hawks, we all have gotten to know each other great over these last 25 years. So it has just been a joy to be with him. Most of the stories he tells are true. Some are not. No, I'm just kidding. But he's, I mean, he's a legend, and nobody loves the Hawks like Dominique loves the Hawks. And I think that comes through. I love hearing the stories. I love kidding him. You know, we had a graphic. Somebody, I forgot who it was. I don't know. It was Jeff Teague or somebody passed him on the all-time Hawks assist list. You know, so we put up the graphic, you know, as Doc and Mookie and all the guys. And then there was who I think it was Jeff. It may have been somebody else, but we put Teague in there, and then we had Neek right beneath him. And I said, how in the world? This can't be right. Let's check this graphic. How many you had assists? You know, so it's stuff like that. So we just have great fun with him. And if you've got anybody in their audience who's gotten to know Neek, I mean, you know that he is just the life of the party. And it's so much fun to be around. And I love the guy, and I'm so glad we're together.
Bob, we're going to end it with this, and I thank you as always for coming on and spending time with me. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We do a show probably 3 to 4 years. You've come on, and you've been so gracious to give us the opportunity to interview you from the Crush and doing this one-on-one, that I wanted to start adding in a Bob story or story time with Bob or something that you can give the people over your years of calling games. And it could be from a game you called or an event. Just leave the people with a story that you can, you know, we're going to leave them with Bobisms or a story with time with Bob, figure it out. But just something that you've been able to see or did in your career that you always remember and you were like, don't mind sharing with the people.
Not at all. Not at all. You know, it's funny. I get asked a lot about, you know, what was the best game you ever called, and, you know, who's the most famous athlete you've ever met and all that stuff. But I must say, I get asked a lot about the best games and highlights of doing the Hawks, but nothing, I don't think, until we do something with this group, nothing is going to top that 60-win team for me. And here's the reason why. It wasn't the winning. I mean, that was great, okay? But what I loved so much about the winning was how it set this town on fire. And, you know, really for the first time since Neek, you know, in the 80s, did we have the whole city Hawks fans. You know, it got to the point where you drop off your dry cleaning and the little old lady behind the counter, aren't our Hawks doing well? I mean, you know, you got them, right? The whole city is on fire. And I want that again. I want that for all of our teams. I want it for the Falcons. I want it for the Braves. I want it for the United. I want it for all of our teams. Georgia, Georgia Tech, you name it. That's what makes this, why we do this. And I want our fans back in the building. You know, certainly by next summer, this nightmare is going to be over, and we can get back to our lives and get back to our jobs and get back to the things that we love to do. And that's what I wish for. I wish for our teams to have what we had 5 years ago with that 60-win team. That was magical. You know, that stuff that happened that year, will never happen again. an NBA team go unbeaten an entire month of January? That has never happened before and will never happen again. To win 19 straight games, that's a quarter of your schedule. And I swear, nobody could ever convince me otherwise that had we stayed healthy, we were going to the NBA Finals. Now, I don't know if we'd have beaten Golden State, but we would have beaten Cleveland. We had their number. Thabo could slow LeBron up just enough that we could defend the other guys. But that team was greater than the sum of its parts. And once one little piece got taken away and another little piece, we weren't the same team. You know, when Thabo, we lost him when the NYPD took batting practice on his shin. That was the first, then Millsap, and then Corver. And then, of course, we lost Al in the playoffs and all this. So, you know, we weren't the same team. We were leaking oil by the time we got to the Eastern Conference Finals. But to answer your question, it's a very long-winded response. I'm sorry. But I want that. You know, if you're an Atlanta sports fan, man, there's a lot of heartache. There's a lot of heartache. And I want that to be over. I want this to be the free agent destination for all these athletes. I want this to be where our teams are not mocked and made fun of and are like Paul Pierce the other day, you know, Atlanta's got a big advantage. They're used to not playing in front of anybody. They'll be, you know, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I want us to just come out there and this city is world class in everything. You know, our sports teams, we owe it to our fans. We owe it to Arthur and to Tony, you know, to get out there and just be the best we can be. So that's my wish as we get started with the new campaign.
I can't end that any better. Y'all hear it, because that's that passion that we need in Atlanta this year. Bob, I know you're going to do great. I can't wait to hear you Thursday. It's Thursday, right?
Friday and Sunday.
Sorry,
that's all right.
I can't wait. I'm just waiting to see it. I feel like I lost a piece of me. It was always to be able to look at my TV in my office and see a Hawks game was just, I guess I took it for granted. Until when I lost it March 11th, I was like, something's missing. And to know it's coming back and to see it, I don't care if it might not be fans, but I get to see Trey again. I get to see Herter. I get to see how Cam produces his second year. I get to see this, and now I get to see Gallinari and Bogdanovich and Capella. We're happy as fans. As a media guy, I'm happy because I get to see this team out there. But as a fan of, as long as I can remember, I can't wait to hear your voice again, Bob. And we all do it, man. We're all looking forward to it. Tell them, Bob, I know what they need to, but they can't. Just go ahead and tell them the upcoming schedule is this Friday and Saturday. Is it 7 o'clock both nights? Or it's in Orlando, right?
No, sir. It's here with Orlando, Friday night at 7 and Sunday evening at 5. Okay. And then next week we play 2 road games. We're going to televise the first Memphis game, which is Thursday night, I believe 8 o'clock Eastern. The Saturday game in Memphis, no TV. And then we open in Chicago on the 23rd.
Whew, can't wait.
Here we go.
Basketball is back. It is back. You can follow him on everything, Bob Rathbun TV. Great follow, great knowledge. Make sure you follow. You can follow us, me at EGlaze 57 and OTV Media Network on everything. Bob, I thank you as always. Thank you for being a friend. As the Golden Girl said, thank you for being a friend and always being so gracious and to give us time to talk to us. So,
well, I'm honored to be with you. What you do in this community is outstanding, and your positive voice is making a big difference. And
thank you.
I'm excited to be a part of it. We've been friends a long time. I'm thrilled for you.
Yeah, and Hall of Famer does it. I can't wait, man. I'm Bob. You don't wait. I love talking to you here, but I'm waiting for you to call games again, sir.
Well, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait much longer. Just hang in there. End of the week. We'll be back.
End of the week. End of the week. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and make sure you watch the replay on all OTV Media Network, Facebook, YouTube. I'll be reposting this one of the greats. And I'm going to cut that clip of Bob telling Atlanta fans, we are a great city. No one hear what Paul Pierce got to say. We are a great city. Great fans. Thank you, Bob. Have a great one, everybody. See you later.